The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television. This week we look at the big return to WWE Raw this past Monday night of Chris Jericho. The history book looking back at the 1992 Royal Rumble. Point, counterpoint. Who is the best in the world? Star of the Week, WWE, TNA, and more. The Pro Wrestling Report Primetime starts right now, right here on My24 Milwaukee.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime TV, the longest-running pro wrestling news program in the world, with your hosts, David Hero and Damian Nelson.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television right here on My24 Milwaukee. Damian Nelson sitting alongside the alleged backyard one-time knockouts hardcore divas Hall of Famer David Octavius, the Tiberius
If you
hero.
could save a whole lot of oxygen if you would just call me the Hall of Famer. I don't need that big, obnoxious introduction every week. Just say the Hall of Famer.
I thought it was your proper title.
Proper is Mr.
Thank you for joining us here on a Saturday night. And the big news in professional wrestling, of course, this week is the big reveal, the return this past Monday night to WWE Raw of Chris Jericho. Yes, that's right. In case you missed it, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Jericho back in World Wrestling Entertainment, and he did so in a very controversial way. As you know, over the last few weeks, WWE has been airing promos basically saying the end begins on January 2nd, 2011. And this past Monday night, 2012. And this past Monday night on WWE Raw, we found out it would be Chris Jericho. And David, bizarre is the word that sums it up. Many speculated that it would be Jericho, but I don't think anyone speculated that it would be the Jericho we saw this past Monday night.
Yeah, he's wearing the special Tron jacket coming out to the ring.
He had lights. Are those bedazzles?
No, that's worse than a bedazzle.
Really?
It was obnoxious.
I gotta make
Jericho
a
comes
return.
down to the ring, huge babyface pop, Y2J chant, gets in the ring with that cheesy smile, and smiles some more, yeah, smiles again.
Come on!
And boy, did the crowd turn on him shortly after
They
that.
didn't. I didn't think they did.
They groaned. They're like, please, that's not the save us we were hoping for.
They never said he would be saving you.
But boy, I tell you, Chris Jericho obviously comes back in a big way. Lots of hype, lots of everything that you could have wanted with all these promos building up to his return. And for some people, it was a letdown because he didn't say anything. He didn't address his fans, didn't address the crowd, didn't say why he was back. He just showed up.
The promos themselves, the young schoolboy, the young schoolgirl,
Made no sense.
They didn't equate to what we saw Monday night, but maybe they did. Now, as you talk about reveals and returns, when you build up so much anticipation, the only person that can get away with a non-babyface, I guess, kind of return would be The Undertaker almost. Chris Jericho had to do what he had to do Monday night for the big reveal and the big breakdown, if you will. But what he didn't have to do, that I'm glad he did do, was sort of parody himself in his older days of Y2J. Let's not forget the Chris Jericho that left WWE when he did, the best in the world. Very, very mellotonic, very, very Nick Bockwinkel-ish almost. Very, very deliberate in his speech.
Well, hold on. Look, Google search or YouTube Nick Bockwinkel, because some of you will have no idea what we're talking about.
We're in Milwaukee. They know Nick Bockwinkel.
Well, but some people
Former
don't.
AWA champion.
Yes, brilliant.
Living it up in Las Vegas,
Brilliant.
Nevada right now.
Absolutely.
That was the Chris Jericho that left WWE. Chris Jericho made it crystal clear. If any of you purchased the Break the Code or whatever DVD it was from WWE chronicling Jericho's career, he said about his initial debut in WWE and his return to WWE in 2007 that he wants to always be reinventing himself, changing with the times, and doing something different. This past Monday night, he reinvented Chris Jericho, did something different, and I'd venture to say, David, that many people are upset about this out there because they were had. Well, we were had.
I wasn't, because I don't have expectations.
No one would have you.
Well, I don't have expectations, so that way you can never be disappointed. But Chris Jericho, he teased a feud with CM Punk. He took the microphone and dropped it like a pipe bomb. That was a subtle hint. That's where he's heading.
It's got to be heading in that direction. And as wrestling fans, like it or not, what happened this past Monday night, a feud, a verbal sparring between Chris Jericho, the best in the world at what he does, and CM Punk, the WWE champion, the best in the world.
Yeah. Punk first has to get through Dolph Ziggler
in some 3 or 4 weeks at the Royal Rumble, but this is going to be a great match at WrestleMania. I'm going to make it official right now. In my opinion, at WrestleMania, Chris Jericho will go one-on-one with CM Punk, and the getting there is going to be the best part of the journey. And let's not forget, these two are incredibly gifted in the ring, and Chris Jericho has held the most championships in WWE of anybody in history.
You are discounting Dolph Ziggler already.
I didn't say it would be for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. I said that it would be Jericho versus Punk.
But you're already...
I'm not saying Dolph Ziggler is going to be the new WWE champion.
Well, what are you saying? You're saying a lot of
nothing.
nothing right now. Come on. You're a
I am
journalist.
saying that at WrestleMania, it will be Jericho versus Punk. There may or may not be a title involved. And I, as a fan, am elated to see the journey to getting to that matchup. The question, though, can CM Punk endure the challenge of a Chris Jericho who is amazing?
Can he sustain? Because if you think about it, CM Punk's push has been started and stopped and pushed forward and pulled back quite a bit lately.
It's been fairly consistent since Survivor Series, since October.
But getting to Survivor Series wasn't easy.
Right.
So let's just see. Chris Jericho has, I would believe, has a bigger fan base than CM Punk.
You know what? Today's fan versus the 2010 fan is different. CM Punk changed the business. Chris Jericho is trying to do the same thing. They're going to play to the same fan, yet two very different fans all at the same time.
The promos, it's going to come down to delivery. Who is more believable, CM Punk or Chris Jericho?
And I'm not sure that question can be answered.
Not yet.
Which is what's great about it all. Several other people were rumored because of those promos, and they could have covered anybody. We still haven't seen The Undertaker return. We know he's got a spot at WrestleMania.
Brock Lesnar?
Some people thought it was going to be Brock Lesnar, who, in case you don't know, retired about a week ago from the UFC and has since been suspended from fighting due to an abdominal issue. But it was not Lesnar. It was not The Undertaker. It was indeed Jericho. And the reaction that night...
Wasn't Rob Van Dam either.
The reaction that night, David Hero, people, I knew it all along, because they saw the picture of him in the Nashville airport. I knew it all along, and it's just Jericho.
I can't believe you leaked that picture. Ridiculous. Spoiler free, bro.
Chris Jericho back in WWE. That's this week's top story. I, as a fan, thought it was brilliantly executed. Let's see where it goes next week, as we know Chris Jericho will be on Raw next Monday night. Still to come here on the Pro Wrestling Report, we're going to talk about TNA Genesis, which is on pay-per-view this Sunday. A brand new segment, Point Counterpoint. Star of the Week, the history book, looking at the Royal Rumble 1992 and more. Pro Wrestling Report here on My 24 Milwaukee continues after this.
Sunday, January 29th, 5 o'clock bell time. It's Great Lakes Championship Wrestling back at the Horny Goat Hideaway. Come down and see live pro wrestling featuring stars such as Robbie E. from TNA Wrestling, Rhino, Scotty 2 Hottie, Al Snow, and former WCW star Gorgeous George. Stick around after the wrestling for a free viewing of the WWE Royal Rumble on the Midwest's largest television. TLCW, the Pro Wrestling Report, the Horny Goat Hideaway, and the Royal Rumble, all in one place on one night. For all you great fans, go to pwrshow.com for more information. pwrshow.com.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report here on My 24 Milwaukee. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero,
Hall of Famer.
And it's time to talk about World Wrestling Entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. More about World Wrestling Entertainment. And this past Monday night's Raw saw more advancement in the story between Kane and John Cena, and this one was explosive as the ring literally exploded as Kane tried to drag Zack Ryder down to the depths of hell, only for Ryder to be rescued by John Cena.
Thank God Hornswoggle was not home. That could have been bad. Can you imagine that? Kicking over his stove, his bedroom set, the whole thing?
Set his house on fire.
Yeah.
The intrigue in this story is building. John Cena cut another obnoxious promo praising everybody and being the Boy Scout again on Monday night. Kane, this whole thing at the end. I'm intrigued. This could play out over the course of several weeks. And I'm not sure where the end's going to take us, but I want to know.
They're doing a great job of separating Kane and John Cena. Mm-hmm. They have yet to truly have a back-and-forth physical altercation. Mm-hmm. Kane's been getting the best of Cena. He tried dragging his boy Zack Ryder down below the ring.
Woo, woo, woo.
Made me think of Heidenreich and Michael Cole for a second there. I got a little uncomfortable.
Not sure about all that. Here's what's great. Kane is playing psychological warfare with John Cena and the fans. And this is
the fans
brilliant.
like Kane. They're almost getting behind him right now.
Because they want so much for Cena to stop being the Cena that he is now. Most fans, anyways.
Do you think Cena's taken a step back or two?
Do I think he's taken a step back or two?
He's no longer the main focus of the show, even though he still is, but he's not.
I think he has. And I think that's good for overall wrestling.
Because right now on Raw, you got Cena doing his thing, you got Punk and Ziggler, you got Jericho back, you got Kane involved, and now you're trying to build some of the stronger SmackDown stars with Sheamus and Barrett. They're doing a good job of having a solid balance of everybody on the show, finally.
The balance was heavily in favor of SmackDown stars this past Monday night, though, including the World Heavyweight Champion Daniel Bryan appearing on the card and wrestling Cody Rhodes, the Intercontinental Champion. One thing that struck me from that was Michael Cole calling the World Heavyweight Champion of World Wrestling Entertainment a pipsqueak on commentary. What benefit is there for your main commentator to be calling your World Heavyweight Champion a various amount of things, including a pipsqueak? And then on Friday Night SmackDown, we saw footage of Michael Cole defeating Daniel Bryan in the WWE 12 video game. I don't understand how they expect to make money, if you will, off of Daniel Bryan, treating him in this fashion in front of their audience.
Because they're eventually going to turn him heel, why not go that route? Bury the guy, and then finally he snaps, the same way John Cena might be snapping.
Does he snap and align himself with a Michael Cole?
Oh my gosh. Well,
I can see that.
Cole could be his mouthpiece. I could see that too.
Why would Cole do it? Because Daniel Bryan sees
Cole's
the light.
A mark for himself. My God. Look what he does every week. He's like you, obnoxious, never ending.
Why do you resort to name calling?
I'm not.
You may as well be commenting.
No, I said obnoxious. I wasn't calling you a name.
You called me obnoxious.
I was talking about your personality.
Santino Marella is the new assistant to the general manager on SmackDown. Zack Ryder doesn't have time anymore. You know, he's the United States champion. So Santino went out and defeated Drew McIntyre. Second loss in a row, week in a row of losing.
Poor Drew.
And now Santino's, which is going to be great. Santino and Teddy and Oksana. Hey, that's fun times.
That's one heck of a threesome.
The Intercontinental Championship remains around the waist of the endorsed Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes defeating Booker T, telling Goldust that he has done more already in the business than his brother ever had, and saying that he will go on to do more in the business than their father Dusty did as well.
Cody has better use of eyeliner than Goldust.
He does not wear makeup.
Are you sure?
I am 99.98% certain.
Okay, well, there's always that small percentage.
Cody Rhodes successfully defeats Booker T.
What does that say about Daniel Bryan?
What does it say about Booker T?
It just says that Daniel Bryan's better than Booker T.
Look at last week on SmackDown. Cody Rhodes shines. Dustin Rhodes comes back. Look at this week on SmackDown. Cody Rhodes shines, retains the Intercontinental Championship.
He keeps doing the job on Raw. More people watch Raw than SmackDown. That's probably why Booker agreed to go in a program with Cody, because no one's going to see it.
Millions of people watch SmackDown each week. Twice as many people watch SmackDown than watch Impact. I don't know why your hate for Cody Rhodes continues.
It's not hate.
It is hate.
I appreciate it.
It is explicit hate.
I just know what I like, and Cody's not it.
Yeah, well, anyways. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to move on to this week's Star of the Week.
This week's PWR Star of the Week is the Millennium Man, the Y2J, the Code Breaker, the man who has held more titles in the history of the WWE than anybody else, your savior, Chris Jericho. Yes, he makes his big triumphant return to Monday Night Raw and doesn't say anything, which obviously was a time filler because he lasted 10 minutes in the ring, smiling and dancing and chanting, yeah! So why not? Why can't Chris Jericho be this week's PWR Star of the Week. What?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television. I thought you'd be a little more daring in your Star of the Week. Like maybe Heath Slater
Are
or
you kidding
Cody
me?
Rhodes
If
or
I
Dolph
do
Ziggler.
not pick Chris Jericho, the millions of YouTubers out there are going to bash me. How can you not pick Chris Jericho, Star of the Week? What did he do except make a return?
It's time to talk about TNA, Total Nonstop Action. Got a pay-per-view this Sunday.
It's
Genesis.
Impact Wrestling.
Genesis on pay-per-view this Sunday. Jeff Hardy gets his shot against Bobby Roode for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Is this the right time for Hardy, David Hero? Coming back a few months ago, bound for glory, back into TNA after that embarrassing effort on Victory Road back in March. And now he gets a championship opportunity, and one might imagine that he could win.
You know what? I think Jeff Hardy could be a favorite to win. You have to watch, Be the Booker to see where we're going to go with that.
Be the Booker available online yesterday, pwrshow.com, where we fantasy book, if you will, or predict, depending on how the actual pay-per-view goes, what's going to happen.
Entertainment purposes only.
EPO?
EPO. I think that Jeff Hardy is the right choice to go right now because he had the big victory over Jeff Jarrett. He's the guy going forward. He's the ultimate babyface in the company. He's proven the critics wrong that, yes, he can do this. And who else is left for Bobby Roode right now? I mean, you got James Storm in a feud with Kurt Angle.
Has Bobby Roode, has his championship reign been a success thus far?
I think it's been a success, but it's been rather uneventful. I think it's been a success for his career to elevate him, to make him into a star. But do people really think of Bobby Roode as the number one guy in the company? I don't think so.
Can they?
I think if he can beat Jeff Hardy and go forward and build on that momentum, absolutely. He can be considered a top guy.
Do you have any doubt in your mind? Well, I guess we'll have to have everybody take a look at Be the Booker for what you picked in that particular matchup, but the result seems a little obvious. Another match on Genesis this Sunday, and this one's going to be fun. It's a four-way match for the X Division Championship. Austin Aries and Kid Cash mixing it up again, along with Jesse Sorensen and Zema Ion. A lot of impressive talents in that matchup. A lot of new talents in TNA in that matchup.
I think this match is going to be crash and burn. There's going to be just a lot of crazy spots.
Opening match? Set the tone?
Oh, boy. No, I don't think. I think opening match might be Pope and Devon. I think that's a great way to start the show, is what they have the Black Pope come out there right away and get things rolling. Daddy. But I think that Austin Aries is just that good right now in TNA. I think he's the ring general as far as the X Division guys go, and they'd be crazy to take the belt off Austin Aries at this time.
And that's TNA Genesis this Sunday night on pay-per-view. The Pro Wrestling Report will be live with the post-show after Genesis, so be sure to tune in for that live on Blog Talk Radio. Still to come here on the Pro Wrestling Report, we're going to go into the history book, looking back at the 1992 WWE Royal Rumble, and a brand new segment, Point Counterpoint. The question this week,
wrong.
Who is the best in the world? Pro Wrestling Report continues right here on My24 Milwaukee.
Sunday, January 29th, 5 o'clock bell time. It's Great Lakes Championship Wrestling back at the Horny Goat Hideaway. Come down and see live pro wrestling featuring stars such as Robbie E. from TNA Wrestling, Rhino, Scotty 2 Hottie, Al Snow, and former WCW star Gorgeous George. Stick around after the wrestling for a free viewing of the WWE Royal Rumble on the Midwest's largest television. GLCW, the Pro Wrestling Report, the Horny Goat Hideaway, and the Royal Rumble, all in one place on one night. For all you great fans, go to pwrshow.com for more information. pwrshow.com.
This is your Pope D'Angelo De Niro, and you're watching the Pro Wrestling Report with Damian Nelson and Hero on My24 Milwaukee.
Well, David, it's a brand new segment here on the Pro Wrestling Report, Point Counterpoint.
Right and wrong. You know that's how it works.
We look at a subject in professional wrestling. One of us makes a point. The other counterpoints that point with their opinion. And it's no interruptions, so don't try to steal my thunder as you try to do every week right here on this program. We get 1 minute on the clock to make our point. And this week the question is, who is the best in the world at what they do? CM Punk or Chris Jericho? I'll be making the point for CM Punk. And Andy, if we can get 1 minute on the clock, that'd be fantastic. CM Punk is the voice of the voiceless. He invented the summer of punk. He reignited the wrestling business in July of this year, in June of this year actually, with the pipe bomb moment. He delivered what many consider to be one of the best matches of the year with John Cena at Money in the Bank. He recaptured the WWE Championship at the Survivor Series. CM Punk has the support of all the fans, has the support of a lot of people in the business, and consistently delivers on that microphone each and every time, and does so in a witty, unfamiliar fashion. He is today's best in the world. I don't know if anyone is better than him at what he does. CM Punk is a consistent deliverer. He is a man who is an earner for WWE, and he is a man who reignited this business with just one moment back in June of last year. That is why CM...
My turn. Your time's up. You can have your CM Punk, but I'm going to raise you one Chris Jericho, the Millennium Man, the Y2J, the guy that every time he makes a return back on Raw, it's newsworthy. People talk about it. He's a star, a rock star, dancing with the stars. The guy does everything. He has crossover appeal. He can step onto the Jay Leno show, Conan O'Brien, and people will know who he is. Your guy, CM Punk, can't even get into Madison Square Garden. So the fact of the matter is this: Chris Jericho is hands down, if I'm comparing him to CM Punk, is the best in the world at what he does, just by simply going to the ring and not saying anything. He gets one of the loudest ovations in the history of Monday Night Raw. Now, with all that being said, come WrestleMania, when it's going to be CM Punk and Chris...
Creative control. Point, counterpoint, ladies and gentlemen. Occasionally we'll do this segment where we look at a hot button issue.
Wrong.
And simply make 2 points. Those points have been made. Who is the best in the world right now? We'd love to hear your comments. Send them to us over at our website, pwrshow.com, via email. Pro Wrestling Report continues. Well, it is indeed time to go in depth and look back into the history book. And it's Royal Rumble season, one of the most exciting times in WWE. So why not let's look back at the 1992 WWE Royal Rumble. And David Hero, one thing most memorable about that pay-per-view event, Ric Flair enters at number 3, goes just over 59 minutes to defeat and eliminate Sid Vicious to become the WWF champion.
That was a great Rumble.
It was an amazing. Heenan and Monsoon on commentary. Heenan just having a conniption for the entire Royal Rumble matchup. Flair. You got to be fair to Flair. Exactly. That's where that first came out. We saw the beginnings of Hogan and Flair in that matchup, which would almost lead to that match at WrestleMania 8.
Look at all the stars that were in there. You had the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich. Yeah. You had Ric Flair. You had Sid Justice. Woo! You had Hulk Hogan. You had Demolition. I mean, at that time, that was...
Is that the one where Demolition started?
I think it was. At the time, 92 may have been the best Rumble to date.
It was a great Rumble. It was 2-minute intervals. And Ric Flair, he came in as the real world's champion, remember? He would come into this Rumble number 3. Of course he can't do it. He can't last that long. I don't think anyone had lasted that long up until that point. He does it time and time again. And what really amplified this, and this shows you how important commentators are and why when it's done deliberately.
When they tell a story.
And they tell a story, as Bobby Heenan did, that entire matchup, along with Gorilla Monsoon. Remember, I think that was the one where Bobby was going to get up and leave. He asked Gorilla if he needed a hot dog or a Diet Coke or anything because he was going to be right back. Or they ended it with, I'm needed here. But the journey of Ric Flair to winning that WWF championship in that main event at the Royal Rumble in 1992 was absolutely amazing. And let's not forget, this Royal Rumble had an undercard which featured 3 tag team matchups. You want to talk about the different state of affairs in WWE now versus then. We're talking tag teams such as the Legion of Doom, the New
Rockers.
No, not the New Rockers.
It wasn't the New Rockers?
No, the New Foundation.
Oh, the New Foundation.
The New Foundation.
That's right, yes.
The Bushwhackers, Orient Express, as I said, the Natural Disasters, and let's not forget Bo and Blake, the Beverly Brothers. Hey, you look sort of like Blake Beverly. I never noticed that.
You're like Bo Duke.
It's better than Luke.
It depends.
1992 Royal Rumble. Ric Flair wins the championship. Becomes a double crown winner, I guess, in wrestling at the time. That's this week's history book, and an amazing Royal Rumble it was. We'll see if this year could come close. But there's some great Royal Rumble moments, and some great moments will continue as we discuss more in our 5 minutes more segment, 5 more minutes segment, which is available online, pwrshow.com. Thank you for tuning in right here on My 24 Milwaukee for this week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television. For David Hero, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in.